Good afternoon, Sajna Rahman, and welcome to Story Live. It's a huge pleasure to have you here. Delighted to have you with us.
Thank you, Rachel, for having me. Thank you for this kind invitation. I'm looking forward to this.
Good. Now, Sajna, we met probably almost a year ago, I think, isn't it? Because we met at I think it was the last December's meeting of the London PSA, the Professional Speaking Association.
Yes, it was.
Met since then. Then we found ourselves together on the wonderful Julie Creffield's One to Many, and we've remained in her mastermind group, haven't we? So we've chatted quite a lot and supported each other quite a lot, which is brilliant. But Sajna, do please share with us, share with the audience what it is you do, and what I love you to share, please, is your backstory, how you came to be doing what you're doing.
Oh gosh. It's only been a year. So where we met, the Professional Speaking Association, it was last year. It was just after I took my huge quantum leap and left my corporate career.
Wow, that's a big jump.
And I leveraged my relationships. So all the people that I was networked with throughout the years, the person in particular, Andy Lapata, give a big shout out to him. He was a person that introduced me to the PSA. So why I left my corporate position was because it's that self-discovery, self-awareness, or self-mastery, I'd like to call it. 6 years ago, I co-founded Tomorrow Meets Today, an event that brings together future leaders and today's leaders. So I was running annual events, and that got recognition and industry recognition last year. So as I was growing that, I call a side hustle, it really pushed me in the direction of really truly finding my passion, what I enjoyed. And it was almost like a decision had to be made. You know, I'm in my 40s now. I to be doing more of the things that I've been doing voluntarily, and hence I took the leap. And I did not have a clue what I was going to be doing. All I knew, I wanted to run events. And then speaking is something that I have been doing throughout the years as well, whilst running events. So speaking generally in school, university, helping people to do better in their careers and achieve better results in their careers.
So what was your role in, well, two questions coming out of what you've just said. What was your role in corporate? And just to check, the events you were running, they were, I think you said, a side hustle, so they weren't part of your job within corporate. They were something that you chose to do on the side, were they?
So what was happening in the last 10 years? So my role, the industry I worked in is service industry, so facility management industry. So I had various roles. So what was happening as I was building my internal network, so I've been known to be known as a fearless networker. Unconsciously, I just loved networking. And because someone told me to do well in your career, you have to know people. But what I've learned is that it's not who you know or what you know, it's what they know about you that counts. That has been drilled in me. So I used to be a lot visible and help other people be visible in the workplace as well. So my role in particular was account management. Then I had regional accounts. Then I went into a more strategic role where it was people developing. So there was one role that was particularly bespoke to my skills, which was a brand ambassador. So all these things that I'm now really putting attention to now, the marketing, I was doing unconsciously, without training, without knowing, just being a conscious competent. And I, as brand ambassador for the company that I worked for, I trained 1,000 engineers on soft skills. So that's my core strength. So strengths was always people orientated, and it was always, when I was running teams as well, I always wanted everybody to be successful, aim high, go for the higher position. And I found it frustrating when people didn't want to. I couldn't understand that. But as I got to know myself more, I'm getting to find out about other people as well. Not everybody wants to be ambitious. Not everybody wants to have the goals that I wanted. I just couldn't understand why people didn't want to earn more and be more and do more. So the side hustle of Tomorrow Meets Today was as part of my networking strategy. I didn't have that strategy knowingly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't knowingly, it was unconsciously, but I just wanted bring together other people. And that actually started within my role as brand ambassador. I wanted to help other people that were in, because I worked for a company that employed 35,000 people in the UK alone. So there was lots of hidden talents out there. So I wanted people who would never get to meet senior leaders within the organization meet. So it was an internal event that I had created that ended up being external, because what I didn't realize, I was getting myself known outside in my industry as well. So that's being part of the networks and being part of events, and then eventually, creating my own events. And it wasn't just like any other events. It was events that really get people to build meaningful relationships. So it's not like a speaker and audience. It's more like cooking together, dining together. And that's, there's a story behind that as well. But I believe, that's how I got to know all the CEOs that are in my network, who I've built deep connection with. And that's what I want people to do. I want people to really pay attention to the relationship that they are building and form it into an action plan and align it to what their goals are in their lives, professional and personal.
What I love about this, Sajna, we're talking networking a lot. I mean, not that, apart from PSA, you and I don't network together, do we? But we both have networking in common. And that whole thing when you're networking of when somebody says, oh, what do you do? Rather than replying with the job title, what is it that you do? And what I'm loving that's coming out of this from you is the same answer, I think, that would come out of what you do now in your own business, which is to help people find a way to succeed. And if they're going for gold, to get there. Would that be accurate? Would that be an accurate way of describing it?
Yeah, so I have actually written a networking playbook. It's kind of scripted on what to do and what not to do in networking. And that is my absolute hate. I hate talking about when I'm introducing myself to what I do. That is like, so it's always good to really, when you are networking, is to bring what you have to offer to the table first. So through my networking history, it's always what I can do for you. And that has always been the case, and that's why I've built all those really meaningful relationships. And my last job in the corporate world was sales, so I was in business development. And it was funny that when you have to network when you're a business development person, so I found it icky to suddenly network for leads, for the organization. It felt uncomfortable. Whereas before I found it so fearless, so effortless. And it made me really just speak about my passion. My energy was coming through. People were buying into what I was all about. And it was all around helping individuals who are probably marginalized in the corporate world. We talk a lot about diversity and inclusion, but now, knowing what I know now, I speak about that differently as well. So I became the champion for people, how to help them network. But it was quite interesting how the networking changed slightly for me in terms of my feeling when I had to really sell. And that was really icky for me, because it just made me feel uncomfortable. now build relationship because I had a sale in mind rather than the other way around where I was just really talking about my passion.
Yes, and the shame of that is that if you follow your passion and my passion too of building those relationships, the sales will come.
Yep, absolutely.
But they're not going to come 1 or 6 a week or however many your target tells you that they should be coming. Really interesting. So now I know we've talked, you mentioned that it's about a year ago that you quit corporate. I know that you had some aspirations within corporate. So what changed there that you decided to take that? Because it is a big leap. Yeah.
So for years I was chasing the big CEO position, and I think doing that, I was doing everything right, building my internal network, external network, and doing the work, but I suddenly felt stagnant in my role. But getting the industry recognition for what I loved doing, just made me come to this realization that, is this what I want? And I've spoken to a lot of CEOs, and there's often like women CEOs particularly would tell me how it's like up there, how it's like up there. And there was loads of conversation that I had to have with myself. Is it what I wanted? Is this the right direction? And, and it was a niggle that was growing and growing and growing. And after celebrating my 25th wedding anniversary last October with my husband.
Congratulations.
There was a lot of self-reflecting and wanting and wishing, I want to do more of this. I want to work somewhere where I want to have a job that I could work anywhere around the world. So it's almost like the desires were being built in a beautiful environment. And then the day I returned back to work on the 6th of November, that was the day that we won the award. And then more or less, circumstances happened. The next day, I already knew I made that committed decision that I wanted to do more of this, which was run events. But then straight away after I made that committed decision, and resigning, my first opportunity came, which was in Saudi Arabia, speaking opportunity and workshop. So I was like over the moon, and that tied in line with my professional speaking association membership, everything. I was surrounded by the people I wanted to be like. And I remember I had to introduce myself at the PSA, and it was more or less saying, I'm still finding my way. And then it was only until after I come back from Saudi Arabia, and it was the last Saturday before the lockdown, Akabusi come, and I was and I was witnessing all these people really being raising concerns about revenues being taken out, and all this stuff was happening. I'm thinking, here I am, a newbie. Is this gonna, affect me? But I already made a committed decision. So what happened at the PSA, I met the lovely Julie Creffield as well. So that's me. I believe that's me manifesting her into my life. Yep. And then it wasn't a matter of, I need to get a job. It was, what else can I do to make that dream of having financial freedom, of working flexible hours, of working anywhere around the world. And it was online program. So I took the concept of Tomorrow Meets Today, and the rest is like building my business and growing as an entrepreneur. See, when I left the corporate world, it was like running events, what I love doing. I wasn't really thinking in the entrepreneurial way. It was just one thing, but I just had this passion, and I didn't know, I didn't need to know how. I walked out in faith. And it's so amazing how everything just came into play. So I launched my group program in June, and that went tremendously well. Then I started to get an influx of people that were coming to me to work one-to-one. And these were people that were in roles that had a niggle. So I just thought, am I discovering my niche here? But then, I supported women, I supported people who are young. I supported Black community, Asian community. So it was almost like, who am I supporting? What is my niche? And I'm still finding that as well. But at the same time, I'm helping everyone like achieve their quantum leap and getting direction. So it's my Think, Transform, Thrive. That is the program that is called. It's all about that. It's about getting clarity by changing your thinking, transforming, and thriving.
I'll get you to tell us a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to reflect what's come out of that for me is that whole thing about you obviously were doing well in your corporate career. You were obviously very successful, getting well known, but to take that phrase, you kind of were looking for the next step up the ladder to be a CEO, somehow knowing there was no passion there, and only to find that actually the ladder was against the wrong wall.
Yeah.
I kind of love that phrase, and I'm sure that there are many people out there doing exactly that. And it's that whole thing, isn't it? Is once you follow that passion and make that decision to do it, everything seems to drop into place. And I just wanted to emphasize that, because if anybody listening to this session today is in that situation, you know, it's a big step. Obviously, not everybody is able to take that step to leave a paid job, whether it's corporate or whatever it is, but to find and to ask that question, how can I do this? What else can I do? Be always open-minded to there being another way of dealing with things. So before you, I know you've got a great story to share, but just tell us a little bit more then about your coaching program so that people can understand what it is that you're offering right now.
So that's exactly it, you know, by going through my backstories and connecting all the dots, it is about, you know, helping people to get clarity of what it is they really want. And my achievements, the success that I achieved in my corporate world was through a process, but I didn't know it. And that process is spoken about in all success books, particularly with Think and Grow Rich, particularly around this belief system that I had without knowing when things, you know, when things get like tough, how quickly I'm programmed. But there was, you know, I was already programmed for success, but I didn't know. That's why I was achieving all these things easily without knowing. But Think, Transform program is that, is putting all that stuff into a process. And it's actually backed by science, because when I look at all these books that I'm reading now, I hadn't read this book when I was achieving all those success, but I'm reading them now. And I wish I paid attention in school, especially quantum physics and things like that, you know, the universal laws that govern us. And it's not woo-woo stuff at all. It is all around like physics and you know, quantum science. And last year it was quite clear to me that I was being pulled. I was being pulled to my passion. It felt it. And I know there are people that are feeling that in the corporate world. I'm fortunate to have built a really great network. And I know that people don't have that clarity. You know, they know they want to achieve more, earn more, but it's the how that they focus too much on and not enough in connecting with themselves, finding out what limiting beliefs they have and how they are programmed and all those wonderful things that really need to be unlearned and reinstalled.
Right.
You know, reinstalled for people to have like clarity. 2020 has been an amazing year for me personally, because it has stretched me, grown me. It made me, you know, really, it's growing pains. That's what it was growing pains that I went through, like as someone who's running my own business now, but at the same time, you know, being clear on how I can like help people achieve like what they want as well. So that's the mission in life now, is to raise people's awareness to see that there is actually a process that can be adopted, and habits that need to be changed. Because as you know, we Google motivational speakers, we Google all these stuff wanting to know what the secret of success is, but the secret is there is no secret.
Yeah.
There is no secret.
Yeah.
And it's all around the imposter monster that sits with us, and that's another like talk I do.
Yes,
So,
yeah. And I see that because, as you know, I talk about sharing stories and learning from each other's stories, which is why we're doing these story lives. And I see that as rewriting our own story. I saw a post the other day that said something about we can't change the past and we can't change the factual bits that have happened, but we can change the narrative around it and not to be defined by it, but we can certainly rewrite the story going forward. Now, talking about stories, I know you've got a great story you wanted to share today. So
before I say that story, I actually do want to, what I love about your services, like Rachel, is that we've spoken a lot about stories. I love the way you structure things like for people and take away the emotion and just make it succinct. And as a speaker, that was one of my like biggest learning curve, is it's never about you, it's always about the audience. And I love how you do that in your program and in your messaging as well. So right. So I got inspired recently, Rachel, by the Queen's Gambit, that program on Netflix.
Yeah, I loved it.
I did not know it was about chess. That actually ignited something inside of me. As soon as I found out it was about chess, I binge watched it. So as I know, what people don't know about me is that at the age of 10, I was, we won a national championship and I came third or fourth, but I did go up on stage to collect a trophy. And so, and it was amazing when I connect the dots. I see what skills I had at the age of 10. Yes. And there's this particular story in that competition that there was this very intelligent looking Chinese boy that was intimidating me on the other, my opponent. But within 4 moves, that's a queen and bishop move, I checkmated him. And I share that in my talks when I used to talk in school. And it's that confidence of not being intimidated by people around you, because I suffered that a lot throughout my corporate world in terms of my own self-belief, my own having to prove things that I can do this. And that's another story, so we won't go into that, but just that Queen's Gambit, how it sort of ignited my passion. Oh wow, this is something I'm actually going to put into my branding. I was a chess champion and I'm having that love and passion again. And it was something that I learned through my wonderful teacher, Mr. Bongard, I remember his name. It was a rainy day outside, so I couldn't do the usual outdoor activities, and I just joined the very serious looking students that were playing chess, and I found it fascinating. So I learned it very quick, and that just goes to show when I really put my mind to something, as a 10-year-old, I became part of the team.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic, Sajna. And I think a way you could use that in your speaking to sort of connect it, because chess is a game of strategy, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Thinking ahead. And I loved it because I also watched the Queen's Gambit. When she was struggling, she'd look up and see the pieces moving on the ceiling and things like that. And I think you can liken that so much to what you're doing now through your coaching. You are teaching people a strategy to help them checkmate, or whatever it is. You can relate that in a way, and that would be a lovely opening story. What just told is, and also for you to go back to the confidence of that 10-year-old girl that knew she could do that, because something will have happened, as it does to all of us, because most of us as children are confident in who we are until somehow life gets in the way and tells us we shouldn't be, or we perceive life to be telling us we shouldn't be. It's not necessarily the clear message that comes through. What you're doing is teaching people how to reconnect with that confident child within, as it were.
Yeah, the important word that you use now is that strategy. Now, as a 10-year-old, I was memorizing moves. We used to write all our moves down. I used to play it with my teacher, and we used to refine what could I have done, what couldn't I have done. So I was already being trained in that. And when what you say about picturing what possible moves that can happen, I was doing that as a 10-year-old. And when I was thinking, wow, that is amazing. In fact, my 10-year-old self inspires me.
Yes.
Like life happens and that gets lost. And and that's really so important for people to actually reflect back and connect those dots, because there's other examples, like you said, life is like a game of chess strategy, and there's so many moves and quick moves that we have to make in life, quick decision. It does help you with real life situations.
Yeah, and you could pull lots of examples out of it.
Yeah.
And all of that. Sajna, we could sit here talking.
I know we could.
We've never had a 5-minute conversation yet, I don't think, have we?
No.
Thank you so much for being on here today. What would you like people to do in order to find you, if they'd like to get in touch or just see more of what you're doing?
Right. So I've got a website, and Think Transform /thrive.com. People can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm more visible, on LinkedIn and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So I'm on all the platforms. So I'm easily found. Okay,
lovely. Thank you again so much for joining me today. And perhaps you could put the link to any of those things, or certainly to your website, in the chat underneath when the video is posted.
It was such a pleasure, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's been great fun. Take care. Bye. Bye.